The widespread of racist behavior that is still a major topic in the media raises questions about the racism awareness among society. Examining the society's experience on social media, social setting, and their education level regarding racism provide a valuable insight into the evolving awareness of this demographic. Let's take a quick look at the age demographic of our survey participants. The dominant age group falls between 19 to 21 years old. This is typical for university students. However, it's worth noting that the sample also includes younger students aged 16 to 18 as well as mature students over 22. This wide age range shows our data is representative across the student population. Interestingly, mature students, those above 22, display high engagement level in the survey, highlighting their active involvement and interest in the topic. Overall, this distribution allows us to explore perspectives from various age groups, adding valuable depth to our findings. Next, let's look at the gender breakdown of our participants. As we can see, a large majority, around 73.5% of respondents identify as female, while 26.5% are male. Although male participation is notably lower, it still significant enough to contribute valuable insight. However, the gender imbalance could potentially influence response pattern or bias in our data, particularly in how different genders perceive or experience racism. Understanding this context helps us interpret our results more accurately and ensure we acknowledge all voices in our analysis.
Question 3. Which social media platform is often criticized for having a high number of discussion and incidents related to racism? Based on the data collected, TikTok stands out with 66.7% of response, indicating that the platform is most frequently criticized for racism-related content. This may be due to the massive global reach, fast content spread, and viral video culture, which can sometimes promote or fail to filter out insensitive or discriminatory content quickly. Facebook received 18.2%, showing a moderate level of concern. Despite having more advanced moderation tools than before, Facebook still struggles with hate speech, especially in comment section, group, and public posts where such content can spread rapidly. Twitter account for 9.1% and Instagram for 6%, which suggests that both platforms are less often associated with racism-related issues. This may reflect stricter enforcement of content guidelines, less exposure to controversial content, or different audience behavior on this platform. From the finding, we can conclude that the TikTok is the most criticized social media platform when it comes to discussion and incident involving racism. Its high percentage suggests that the user see it as a place where racism content is more visible or less regulated. Meanwhile, Facebook is seen as moderately problematic, and Twitter and Instagram are considered relatively safer in this context. This highlights the importance of content moderation, education, and stricter platform policy to reduce the spread of racism online, especially on platforms like TikTok that are popular among younger audience and have a high content turnover rate. Question 4. Have you ever personally experienced or witnessed racism? The response to this question provides insight into how common racism is from the perspective of individual. 42.4% of respondents answered no, I have never experienced or witnessed it, meaning most people surveyed have not personally encountered racism in any form. 33.3% state that they have witnessed racism happening to others, suggesting that more people are aware of racism through observation rather than through direct experience. Only 12.1% report having experienced racism directly, showing that a relatively small group has been personally affected by racism behavior. Another 12.1% were not sure, which could reflect uncertainty in identifying racism or a lack of awareness of certain discriminatory behavior. From the data, we can conclude that the majority of respondents have never experienced or witnessed racism, indicating that for many, racism might not be visible or personal issue, However, a significant portion have witnessed it happening to others, which suggests that racism still occurs in society, even if not directly experienced by all. Additionally, only a small percentage have faced racism personally, showing that while racism is present, direct personal experiences are less common than indirect one. This highlights the importance of raising awareness, not just about personal experience, but also about recognizing and addressing racism when it's happened to others.
For question 5, we ask, do you believe racism is a major issue in your country? From the chart, we can see that most respondents, about 44.1%, believe racism is not a major issue. This is the clear result shown in the data. Meanwhile, 41.2% of them think racism is a serious problem, and the remaining small group, about 5.9% and 8.8%, either think it's not an issue at all or have different opinions. Now, let's look at the implicit meaning. Even though some people believe racism is serious, many don't see it as a big deal, which may mean they are not directly affected, or maybe they have accepted it as something normal. This also tells us that racism might be happening, but not everyone recognizes it. So, this data shows different level of awareness among people when it comes to racism. Question number 6. How do you think the media influence racism? Point 1. Respondents think racism depends on how people use media. This directly states a belief about the conditional nature of media's influence. From point number 1, it's implied that a significant portion of respondents believe personal media consumption is a key factor. The graph also shows a dot line which depends on people use media, suggesting this is a well-represented viewpoint. Point number 2, media highlights racism and educates people. This explicitly states a positive role of media in addressing racism. From point number 2, some people see media as a tool for positive social change regarding racism. The graph shows help raise awareness and promotes racial stereotypes as potentially two sides of the same coin, both influenced by how media highlight things. And lastly, few people think media has no effect on racism. This states a minority opinion about media's impact. And from point number 3, is implied that the idea of media having no effect on racism is a fringe or very uncommon belief among the survey group, given the phrasing few people think. The graph also shows no effect on racism at or near zero.
Goes to question number 7. Have you noticed racism in school, workplace, or public space? Okay. This section highlights public perception and experience of racism in everyday environments such as school, workplace, and public space based on survey response. According to the finding, 50% of respondents have noticed racism occasionally in schools, workplace, or public space. Meanwhile, 30% reported experiencing it frequently, and 20% were either unsure or had never observed it. Question number 8. What do you think is the main reason racism still exists today? Understanding the root cause of racism is essential to addressing it effectively. This survey explored public opinion, on the key reasons racism continues to persist in society. When asked about the main reason racism still exists today, 45% of respondents identified lack of education and awareness as the top cause. Meanwhile, 35% point to social and cultural belief, and 20% highlights media portrayal and misinformation as contributing factors.
Hi everyone, today I'll be presenting the result of the short survey on racism, specifically about how comfortable people are discussing it and how they respond when they hear the racist comment. So let's look at the findings. So the first question asks, how comfortable do you feel discussing racism with others? So based on the responses, 25% said they are very comfortable, 56% are somewhat comfortable, 30% feel uncomfortable, and 6% believe it's not necessary to talk about the racism. So, this shows that the majority are open to discussing the issue, although a small percentage still avoid it or don't see the need to talk about it. So the second question was, how do you respond when you see or hear someone making a racist comment? So here's what we found. Like 34% of respondents said they speak up and challenge it. 9% stay silent but feel uncomfortable, and 3 ignore it completely. While 63 said it depends on the situation. So although a good number are willing to take a stand, most people react based on the context. Only a very small percentage ignore the issue entirely. So most people are open to discussing racism and aware of it. However, many still hesitate when it comes to taking action. So this shows the importance of creating safe spaces and encouraging respectful conversation to build confidence and awareness. To conclude the overall results of the survey, most people are open to talking about racism, which is a good sign that awareness is increasing. However, some still feel uncomfortable or unsure when discussing the issue, showing that there's still room for improvement in creating safe and supportive environments. When it comes to responding to racist comments, many people say their reaction depends on the situation. While this shows they are aware, it also highlights a need for more confidence and tools to take consistent action. It's encouraging that very few people ignore racism completely. This means people do care, even if they don't always know how to respond. So overall, these findings shows that we are moving in the right direction, but to make real change, we need to keep encouraging open conversations, provide education, and support people in speaking up safely and effectively.